All right, it is August 16th, bringing you a Lake of the Ozarks fishing report brought to you by James and Denise Dale Guide Service here on the lake. So we'll get right into the water conditions and what's going on down here this last, it's been, I don't know, 10, 12 days since we done another report. So we'll try to start picking it up as things start changing and we're, the pattern starts changing a little more often than kind of your summer where you kind of get stuck in same old, not a whole lot changes, where now we're starting into a transition. I'm gonna call it early fall. So real quick, the water level is 659.42, I think it is. So it's still right at full pool, just a little under. Water temp has dropped a little bit. We're in the low 80s now. 80s or 70s? 80s. Yeah, low 80s. Low 80s, like 81, compared to 85, 86, which, anytime we start that drop in that water temp, that starts triggering everything in the lake. The shad start moving. The bass start feeding a little different. We're seeing a lot of schooling fish, busting the surface, pushing shad up to the surface. A lot of little, I don't even know what they are, like little minnows. I'm sure some can still be some little bigger fry. I know it's August already, but I think there was a late spawn, and a lot of that's still going on. But anyway, things are just changing. We've had some cool nights, some cooler days. Today was really nice, kind of cool, kind of foggy. And just things are starting. I'm just going to call it the early fall transition, when things just start changing, and with that change, our baits start to change. Obviously, early fall like this, August, September, you can still catch them deep, big worms, big jigs, big crankbaits. But as we transition a little later into the fall, that's still working, but we can start going shallow and catch them shallow too, and that's already starting to happen. So we can catch them. Right now, we've been able to catch them. I ain't gonna say I've been able to catch them deep, because I don't seem like I've been catching them very deep this year at all. Some. And I know every year there's still some that can be caught deep. When I say deep, I'm gonna say, 15 to 25 foot of water. But the fish seem like they've just stayed shallow this year. Even if like main lake stuff, point stuff, brush stuff, 8 to 10 foot's been pretty productive. And then like I said, the shallow bite with all the green. The greenery, green grass, and plants in the water, that's kept them shallow. The lake's been up. I think that's kept them kind of shallow. A lot of bluegill. I don't know what the deal is this year with the bluegill, but it just seems like an abundance of bluegill this year. And you've got, it must have been the spawn last year maybe. Because a lot of them, you're seeing the big ones, like the size of your hand, like you always see, are a little smaller. But we're seeing a lot of, just a 2.5 inch, it looks just like this zapper jig with that single tail swamp bug on her. And you can see I dipped that tail, a little bit of chartreuse. All these bluegill right now, they're that kind of a brown tan, and they got we're looking at them today almost like a fluorescent tail on them, and the bass, I think, are really feeding on them this year, and it might be because of the green plants, and they're relating to the green plants, where a lot of years we don't have nowhere near the plants that we have in the water. So either way, it's just it's kind of been an odd, different year the way things are, So like we had no current in June, like we were used to, just them cranking it up for 20 days straight, and then fish are piled out there, and you know how to catch them. It's pretty easy. This year hasn't been like that. It's been a totally different year. A lot of fish have just stayed shallow. There's no reason for them to go out there if they're not pulling a lot of current, and all the bait and all the fish are up shallow. Well, the bass are going to be up there too. So, man, for the last week and a half, the topwater bite's been going really good. I know you've been catching them on topwater a lot. What's I got several topwater baits here, but what have you been throwing? Think the most productive is?
Most productive for a while has been the Berkeley Chapo. I've been throwing the 120 series. They have a 90 and a 110, 105.
So they've got three sizes of Chapo.
Yeah, and this just seems to be just a really good size, and you can kind of sidearm your cast and kind of just try to get it to land real nice. And
instead of throwing a topwater, and I know we both think it's extremely important when you're throwing your topwaters. Where normally, we'll cast overhand, if you're casting big worms or crankbaits and stuff, compared to like the topwater, almost like you would be skipping a jig, but let that thing go just above the surface as it's flying towards where you're trying to get it, rather be up next to a seawall, under a catwalk or big rock. So it's going, parallel with the water, and when it hits, it doesn't make a big.
Yeah, you're not putting that
a big unnatural plop. It just kind of hits that water like, kind of natural, like a bait fish or a bluegill hitting the surface. And a lot of fish we've been noticing are hitting as soon as that thing hits that water, that fish is on it. So they're seeing it come in over the head, or something's getting their attention, and then when that thing hits the water, they're on it. That quick, almost like catching it in midair, and it happens. It happens a lot, So some of the stuff you've been targeting, what have you been like? If someone's just going to go out and throw a topwater tomorrow, where are you going to tell them to start?
I would target your seawalls, your main lake seawalls going into the coves. You've also got any kind of transition from, say, a seawall to your bigger chunk rock to down to pea gravel. You're just kind of targeting any transitions maybe that you see. And I really believe that if I go into a cove, I'm looking for the shade on the docks, and a lot of times I literally pick the side where there's the shade.
Right, because if you're going into, normally you'll have a side where the shade is coming from the bank, pushing out, leaving a shadow up against the bank. And the other side, it'll be pushing the opposite way.
Right.
So, like now, if they're really shallow, you're gonna pick the one where the shade is coming off of the bank. And usually, like we were saying, if you like, or I like to pick shade lines that are like maybe 3 to 6 foot off of the bank. That you've got 6 foot of shade basically, instead of a lot of shade, or not much at all. It seems like them fish might roam up in that a little more, maybe feel a little more aggressive, not necessarily, just, I don't know, something about the shade. And early fall, they'll work them shade lines a lot of times. You don't necessarily have to be low light conditions, cloudy. Obviously that tends to work better conditions for topwater, but early fall and into the fall, I think not necessarily. A bright sunny day, if they're in the right mood and you hit the shade lines or shallow docks or lay downs, the right boulders or rocks, you can catch them in the middle of the day. So,
and your lay downs too. Your lay downs, make sure you get in the beef of the tree or the branch, and work it work at as many different angles as you can and try to just
multiple casts
Mm-hmm.
at the same target a lot of times.
Yes.
Like even shallow dock corners, dock open slips, working a topwater down through there several times. A lot of times it might be 5-6 times, and that 7th time you throw it on the same deal, here they come. You know, it's either calling them or it gets them, or it finally, whatever reason, gets her attention. So you know, you kind of make multiple casts with the topwater. So she's throwing, you know, she's talking about the Chapo. You know, obviously you've got the whopper poppers. You know, this is the smaller, what is this, the 90 I believe it is. And we got the one, I always get the Chapos and them mixed up, you know. Either way, you got the
on
two.
On the shelf, they're going to be labeled.
Yeah, you got the two sides. You got the bigger size, and then you got the, I call it the medium one. Basically, you know, on the, I know we've talked about it before, I always change my hooks out on the whopper popper. I think they're too big a hook, too big diameter, and then a lot of times the fish don't get totally hooked up in them. They get them in their mouth, you know, and throw them. That's the only thing with the whopper popper. So I do switch out those hooks. I usually switch them out with Gamakatsu's narrower, smaller diameter wire on it. Similar to like the Chapos, they come with a pretty good hook.
Yeah,
You don't need to. We don't ever switch those hooks out. They're a sharp, a small diameter hook, and they penetrate real well. It seems like to me. So that's just that. You know, the buzzbait's starting to work. I'll give it maybe another week or two. As we keep having these cool downs, we get closer to September. The 3/4 ounce head knocker buzzbait it's just every year it's like clockwork. When they start hitting topwater, you know, I'm gonna throw the buzzbait probably first, because if I hook them on the buzzbait, they usually stay hooked compared to like your Chapos or whoppers or spooks. They tend to throw those baits pretty easy. A lot of times when they come up and shake compared to your buzzbait, you hook them with a buzzbait, they're coming in a boat. So, you know, it's not too early to start throwing it. I've been throwing it here the last couple weeks. I've caught some on it, not a lot just yet. I mean, it's coming, and it could change in just 2 days. You know, we've already seen the way the fish have changed their feeding. The activity we're seeing in the creeks, the bass are a little more aggressive. They're chasing baits. You know, they're just what you see in early fall, and that's kind of like, I know it's only mid-August, but it just seems like we're already getting there, which kind of excites me because it's a lot of fun. So
it's a bait that'll stay on your
yeah, it'll
deck.
stay exactly from now through until that water hits 50 degrees. I'm gonna have topwater on the front deck, and I'm gonna throw it throughout the day. You know, I'll throw it in the mornings. If they're not biting in the morning and I'm doing something else, I'll try mid-morning, midday. I'll try it again, and then late in the afternoon, I'll try it again. I've seen a lot of times where they don't want it for whatever reason, and something changes, especially in the fall with the barometric pressure, the sunlight, the shade line, the way the movement of the shad, the bluegill, whatever it is. I just keep trying it because obviously if you can catch them on topwater, you can start running, moving a lot faster, covering a lot more water. So the topwater, you know, it's been pretty productive this last couple weeks, you know. Several trips. It was all topwater, you know, and they caught them pretty good. Last weekend we had a trip Friday, and then you had one Saturday. Friday was excellent topwater. Saturday I fished at Summer Sizzler with friend Jeff Mose, and you know, it was lightning, thunder, raining hard. We sat under a dock for an hour, and that I think that just killed that topwater bite. The lightning, I don't know what, but after it quit and we got out, we threw it for about an hour and a half, and I think we caught we might call one small keeper and several shorts, and then we started flipping. You know, so it's kind of you know, this time of year there's you can throw topwater, and then this time of year your little square bills really start coming into play, especially when you see like we're seeing a lot of bluegill. Like this one here, this is a little 6 cents, little square bill. You can see it looks just like a bluegill. You know, it kind of got the darker top, chartreuse on the sides. You know, your chartreuse right now has kind of got that matte brown, or not the bluegill. Kind of got a matte brown side, but the tails are almost like a fluorescent chartreuse, similar to this crankbait. So, you know, some days they're aggressive, but they won't want to hit a topwater, where you can cover a lot of water with a little square bill back in these shallows. You know, burn it down alongside your docks. If you've got a lay downs, you know, brush, maybe some odd bigger rocks, you know, throughout up by the bank. You can just burn these little square bills, throw right on the bank, and just burn them out of there, slow it down, stop them. You know, and a lot of times fish will be really aggressive and grab these little square bills in the fall like that.
Yeah, which is great because with the water being clear, you're able to visibly see
any sort of structure or something in there. You know, the square bills keep it pretty simple. Something like this, you know, kind of looks like a bluegill. I got some that look just like shad. You know, I'll throw that, like like she said, the water's real clear and you're seeing little shad, them little 2-inch shad, you ain't gonna get anything that's gonna mimic it better than that. And then we will throw the bright one, the bright orange with the brown back. You know, I don't know, it kind of looks like a crawfish, maybe a bluegill, you know, whatever. For whatever reason, sometimes the different colors will trigger a bite, you know. But the square bill can be very productive right now, and actually kind of like the topwater, you know, through late fall, you know. So the square bill is something definitely you want to throw right now. Just, you know, run the banks, maybe run some of the backs, in the backs of some of these creeks, or even in the backs of some of these bigger coves, maybe where this rain has washed down these gullies, and you see these runoffs. You see the big culverts coming out. You know, them fish know that's where, when water rushes and hits that, it just stirs up. It stirs up their food. The bluegill come in there, the shad come in there, the crawfish are washed out. They just know that's somewhere, you know. So like, it's kind of some of the stuff we'll target, you know, stuff like that. You know, other things. I haven't thrown one yet, but a rattle trap. That's a little more September as they really start schooling in the backs. You see a lot more busting. You know, you'll see the bass just a constant busting around, just out in the open. They're really not relating anything when they're doing that, but like a square bill or a rattle trap will really get productive here this next, I'm going to say next several weeks, you know. So, you know, like I said, they're baits that you can cover a lot of water with. If they're biting that, you can run them and cover a lot of water and just increase your odds, you know. So once that, you figure you're not getting them on the moving baits, whether it be the topwater or crankbaits, you know, then we're going to start flipping, you know, which I prefer just to flip sometimes, you know. But like we were saying, if you can cover water, your odds are better sometimes. The flipping bite, I'm not going to say always tends to get you better, bigger fish, but it's pretty consistent for getting bigger fish, you know. You know, and the different baits, you know, we got a ton of stuff set out here that will throw. I see she's got one. What do you got there? What's that?
I've got my usual half-ounce snapper jig with the pack a chunk trailer on it. So that's where you're fishing your docks. You're looking for that that little bit of shade line coming off the docks, whether it be from the roof of the dock or your floats, and just taking your time and flipping, getting under the cables.
It's totally different than fishing the topwater where you're on a trolling motor, you know, you're standing on a trolling motor and you're just covering water. The jig bite, the flipping bite, you got to slow down. You got to be extremely quiet. You know, I talk about it and stress it. You know, your compartments, putting them down easy. You know, stepping around the boat, on and off the trolling motor on high. You know, as you're heading into a dock, you know, stopping that boat before you get too close and you turn around and thrust a bunch of water underneath there. You know, they know your presence without you, sounding an alarm or announcing it, you know. So, the docks, might start at 10 foot water and kind of work our way towards the backs a lot of times. You know, in the little deeper water, seems like a shaky head, like a 1/4 ounce Crankgator Shaky Pro with either the Mag Finesse or this is just the Finesse worm. That works good. Some other ones we've been throwing, I just had that one tied on from today. The
mid-sized brush hog.
The mid-sized brush hog, that works good. The Crankgator DC worm works good. The Gary Yamamoto cut tail worm is really good. Usually in a green pumpkin. This is like a green pumpkin magic color. It's kind of brown on one side, green pumpkin on one. They're extremely soft, get a lot of bites. They tear up easy, but they are very, very productive. So, and then even like your, like this is the Rage Tail, I call it the Rage Tail, the Magnum Menace. And you see that? It kind of got green pumpkin, a little chartreusey, like the bluegills we're seeing. But you just Texas rig that. You can throw that on a shaky head, that 1/4 ounce Shaky Pro head. If you're flipping docks and you're not really in the brush, you can just put that on a shaky head and flip that around docks. Very productive. Got a lot of kick to it. Looks like a bluegill. Skips real easy. Any of these baits, if it's a day where the fish seem to be way back under the docks and you got to skip it, any of these creature baits, like that Magnum Menace, the Reaction Innovation Sweet Beaver, the Missile D-Bomb, any of these, they skip really easy. You can either rig these like on the Gator Lock jig head, that Crankgator makes. It was made kind of for these types of bait. You can Texas rig it. We rig them on the back of jigs, back of jigs. They'll skip real easy, but any of those creature baits are coming into play now, and then like our jig, like she showed you her setup. I like to throw a single tail on mine. This is actually a swamp bug. You can see the single tail of the swamp bug, and I got chartreuse dyed tip of that tail. It looks just like a bluegill. I can skip it, that 1/2 ounce. I skip a 1/2 ounce a lot better. The momentum of that jig will carry it back up underneath the docks. And then as far as when you're flipping the docks, you got to be, I want to say careful, but you got to be really pay attention to when you do get a bite on a dock, where that fish was at. Because a lot of times you get way on the docks and them fish are out on the corners or underneath the floats. You can skip all you want underneath there and them fish are looking out. You're flipping over and past them and go to the bottom, and them fish, you won't get the reaction as if you flip on the corners or behind a dock or behind a boat, maybe at the edges sometimes. Obviously I'm going to try the edges. If I can kick them there, I'm a lot faster. You don't have to flip underneath there. You don't have to be perfect cast. So you just want to make sure or pay attention where you get a bite on a dock. because for whatever reason the fish generally, consistently are doing the same thing. You know, like you're catching them all on the outside corners, or you're catching them 6-8 foot back up underneath the swim dock. So you just got to pay attention where you catch them. Until you catch a couple, just approach a dock, outside corners, the slips in between the boat lifts underneath the swim platform, and then go around, go through the sides floats halfway down the dock, the shallow corner, the catwalks. You almost got to do a lap around these docks a couple times until you can finally catch a couple bites or get a couple bites and see where them fish are. You know, it's slow. It takes a lot of time. You got to be quiet. You know, you got to make accurate flips, but it can be extremely rewarding. You know, I caught a 5-pounder today, flipping a shallow dock. A friend of mine, Ricardo, and I went out. It was kind of a trip, and we went out and just kind of wanted to see ledge fishing, shelf fishing, bluff stuff, and we went out and caught some good fish on the shelfy, bluffy stuff today that we haven't been catching. You know, we haven't been catching much, but it's kind of a fall thing, and it starts up, and then a lot of these fish that are deep or spin deep along these bluffs and deeper stuff, they start coming up on these shelves and they'll feed. You know, we were catching or getting pestered, I would say. Those we call them big mouth bluegill. They're up there running them banks, and them bass are up there eating those. You know, everything's up there eating it. Ricardo caught about a 25, 30 pound flathead today doing it. But either way, we were, what I was getting at is it's kind of the early fall, and we're catching fish out around deep water still, but there's a shallow bite starting too, and that's going to go all through September. You know, I was throwing a little mag finesse, and I was catching some fish. They weren't very big. Ricardo was throwing a 10-inch worm, a big worm on about a 3/8 ounce Texas rig, and we were throwing right up to the bluffs, to the shelves, and dragging them off of there. And we had a pretty solid day today. We caught 3. Let's see, he had 2 fish around 4 pounds, and then a good solid 3. A couple are solid keepers, and then it kind of slowed down. That bite kind of slowed, so we kind of went in shallow, started flipping, and I caught a real nice 5-pounder flipping a shallow jig, or fish flipping a jig on a shallow boat dock in about 3 foot of water. So, boy, it was a good solid day that I haven't seen for a few weeks. You know, during the day bite. You know, the night bite, evening bite's been different, but it was during the day. It was pretty sunny today. It was a perfect day for flipping. If you can get down here during the week now, the boat traffic was there was hardly anybody out there today. You know, the school's back in session, sports are starting up, you know, people are done with their vacation, so the lake's starting to, I'm not going to say it's quieted down yet, but it's slowing down, at least during the middle of the week. During the weekends, it's still going to be busy. We got a lot of busy stuff coming up. But during the week right now, and today was a day, there was hardly any boats out there. So if you can get down in the middle of the week, get down here and do some fishing. But we're catching them on the bigger worms. Still, fairly shallow. I'm gonna say 10 foot or less. 12 foot maybe. Brush piles behind docks, around docks. Both on Main Lake, just off Main Lake, and then some in the backs. They're kind of all over the place as far as, you can't really say stay on Main Lake, stay on ledges, go back shallow, fish topwater. You kind of gotta run the whole deal. I'd give everything, or each bait, I might give it in an hour. If you're not catching a fish on it within an hour, either switch baits or switch what you're doing If you're fishing shallow, back off. You know, if you're fishing deep, go shallow. If you're fishing main lake, maybe go halfway back, or maybe go all the way back, and just kind of switch it up until you see. You know, today was a perfect example. We fished a lot of long banks, long bluffy stuff, and we'd go along, no bites, and then when we would get 4, 5, 6 bites pretty quick, and then it would kind of slow down again. So these fish, they're moving around in schools. They're already starting to school up a little bit. We're seeing fish bust the surface. Been seeing a lot of that, you know. So it's just it's getting there, you know, as far as like I said, it's not fall yet by no means, but it's starting to change. Things are gonna change here. We got the 2-day BFL coming up here the second week of September. Then the Bass Open is here the third week. And then the last week of September, we've got the 3-day Toyota Series. So September is going to be very busy for tournaments, big tournaments, 3 big tournaments in a row. And then after that, you've got the Big Bass Bash. So, you know, the first week of October.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Warrior Williams tournament is,
15.
I think it's a week after the Bash.
Yeah.
The 15th, a real good charity tournament out of Red Oak. That's called the Warrior Williams tournament. You can look that up online. Bass World's got some couple tournaments going on. I know there's a night tournament, even tournament this weekend. And Wednesday nighters, you know, the same old tournaments, but some of your day tournaments are going to start firing back up in September. You know, so looking really forward to that. Coming up, the fishing's starting to, like I said, change. You can catch them during the day. You know, pretty consistent right now. Last week was really good fishing. You had several really good trips. Friday trip, them guys caught them pretty good and caught them on Topwater. And then Saturday wasn't. It was totally different.
Right.
And that's
Totally different.
But like I said, that's Topwater. So, you know, right now. Are there anything else you want to show them or say? We've kind of talked about.
We pretty much covered.
You know, right now, you come down, I would run Topwater in the mornings. Like she said, look for transition, big rock, transition to smaller rocks, flat stuff to steep stuff. Seawalls are really good, really extremely good things to target with Topwater right now. You can parallel a seawall, you can throw right up to the seawall. These grass edges, you fish those. Shallow laydown, shallow brush, shallow dock corners, whether it be on main lake, shallow dock corners, or back in the backs. Either way, just fish it shallow, cover a lot of water. If you don't get anything for an hour, switch it up. Maybe the same stuff, just start flipping something. You know, maybe they don't want it moving, they want something on the bottom. And you can go from a jig, a shaky head. I'm going to say shaky head of some sort is probably #1 producer throughout, day in, day out. You know, just to put your 1/4 ounce Crocky Gator Shaky Pro head on there and either throw the finesse worm or the mag finesse, one of the two, and flip everything you can on a dock until you catch a couple, and then that'll kind of key in to what's going on. And you can fish, you can start on main lake stuff and flip behind them docks, you know, come just in off of main lake for those fish that are coming up and starting to feed, coming out of the deeper stuff, and they'll start relating the points just inside the points. And then you got creek fish that they've been there, they're in the back of little pockets, they're in the very backs. Another thing I haven't talked about, but usually gets really productive in August, September, is just your big docks, big cruiser docks, bigger docks in these creeks, and all the braces. You know, you can just swim them jigs, like the same little setup here, the Crocky Gator 1/2 ounce zapper. It works best with a 1/2 ounce jig, so when you're reeling it, it doesn't come to the surface so fast. You can keep a pretty good pace. And just reel them by them outside corners, And when them fish are out there, you can catch a lot of fish, and you catch a lot of keepers doing that. Not a lot of big fish. You know, you will catch 3-pounders out there, which is a solid fish, but you'll catch a lot of 15, 16 inchers, which will go a long ways in some of these fall tournaments. You know, it's generally, you know, you 12 to 14 pound limit is a pretty average, I guess, you know, as you get into these fall tournaments, you know. 14 and a 14 to 16, I'm going to say is a little above average. Anything over 16s is a pretty good day in early fall, August, September, early October, and then we get into something different. So, you know, I think that's about it. What was Ricardo's wife's name?
Myra.
Got a shout out to Myra, Ricardo's wife. We fished, and then we run into Denise on the lake, and we went in to have lunch, and she made some of the best, well, it was salsa, and what do you call it? I don't even know what it was. A Mexican dish, and it was excellent. We were going to go to our place in Greenview and have Mexican tonight, but after having hers today, it wasn't going to hold a candle to it. Right. So we went and had Italian.
Yeah.
So either way, thank you to her and the hospitality today. Not too often you have a trip and then you go in and get lunch at their house, but that's what we did today and had a great time.
Met some new friends.
Met some new people, yeah. So either way, man, you're getting down here. Like I said, the lake's going to start slowing down, especially during the middle of the week. The restaurants and everything will stay open for at least to Halloween normally, you know, I would say. So everything's open. It's just fishing's picking up. It really has never really slowed down this year. You know, it was kind of tough here and there, but man, from what I've seen this last 2 weeks, lake's in excellent shape. You're catching 6-inch bass. Today we caught one over 5. There's been a lot of 5s and 6s caught in the Wednesday nighters, Thursday nighters. Yeah. A lot of big, solid fish, and the fish look really good. They're healthy looking. We caught some this weekend in the Summer Sizzler, just jammed full, just packed full, big, healthy, fighting fish. You know, I don't know, the lake's in great shape, I think. And it's only going to get better fishing from here through, you know, until it freezes.
Yeah.
You know, so either way, get down here. If we can help you, get you onto some fall fish, some different techniques now as we transition in there, give one of us a call, give myself a call, you know, 573-204-9005, or give Denise a call.
Yep, my number is 314-226-3099.
You know, like I said, if we can help you with anything, give us a call. And obviously, if you ever got any questions, shoot us a text, give us a call, an email, whatever, about any of the products or things we recommend. You know, these are, you can see, you know, we talk about a lot of different brands, a lot of different, you know, different rods, different reels, different baits, whatever. You know, our electronics, you know, obviously we run Garmin. You know, I'm running them Expion 360 lithiums. I can't say enough about them. Those things have been incredible. My service and attention for my questions and whatever from wholesale batteries, from one in Kansas City and the one in St. Louis, is second to none. You have any questions about any battery related questions, charging questions, battery setup questions, whether it be about deep cell batteries or lithium batteries, any type of battery question, which I'll be honest, battery technology and stuff these days are beyond what I know anything about. So I'm not going to guess. I don't want to mess something up. I don't want to be running overpower, underpower. I'm going to call the professionals, the guys that know, and the guys at Wholesale Batteries I promise you, you call them with any question about anything, they will answer it in detail and explain it to you and make sure you're set up with the right batteries for what you're trying to do. You know, whether you run like I keep it pretty simple. I've got a 12-inch Graft, a 1242 in my dash. I got a 1243 up front. That's all I've got. You know, I've got the Garmin trolling motor, and I run live scope. You know, I run one AGM 31, Group 31 Intimidator Deca for those, and then I've got my 3 Expion 360 lithiums for my trolling motor. And there's been some days I've been standing on that trolling motor, and they don't waver. So I'm looking forward to this fall when we start running that Topwater all day, and you're standing on 3/4 throttle speed on this trolling motor. And this year I know I'm going to have the batteries that are going to keep me rolling. So, you know, anything else, like I said, the service from Gary and his boys down here at Sport World Boat Center, you know, the guys get busy. They got a lot going on. They sell pontoons. You know, obviously the Vexus. They've got a big selection of used boats down there. Just go down and talk to them about any questions on boats, motors, what have you. You know, I just can't. You know, I want to make sure I express and tell you guys about the people we use and the service we use and the tackle and stuff, because it's proven itself for us, and the people have proven themselves for us to keep us on the water, guiding every day. If you lose a day, that's a trip, you know, and you just can't afford to do that. You get shut down before a tournament or during a tournament, it ruins your day. You know, it does a lot. So just if you got any questions about
fishing's hard enough.
Right, you know, a lot of times the fishing isn't as hard as just keeping everything working properly. You know, so either way, enough running on about all that. But my whole point is, if we can answer any questions, or you have any questions about anything at all, you know, just shoot us a text, give us a call, shoot us an email, and we'll be glad to talk to you about it, whether it be set up for electronics or whatever it is. So either way, we'll keep you up to date. We'll try to start picking it up maybe once a week now as things change and progress more into the fall fishing. But like I said, the fishing is good down here. Lake of the Ozarks is a great place. It's a happening place. So if we can help you, please give us a call. And other than that, we will see you in about a week.